In this video, we're going to walk through some tips for approvers. For this particular example, we're going to walk through reviewing an expense report, but it's similar functions to reviewing a travel request. So once you've logged in, you can get to items that are in your queue for approval by selecting the approval module, or on your dashboard, you can select from the required approvals section in your tasks. Go ahead and select this particular example. And here you can see the expenses that are being claimed for this particular trip. One thing to call out is this tab on the right hand side. This report summary kind of gives you some context for the travel request in relation to the expense report that you're looking at this point in time. So for this particular example, this travel request was approved for $390.50. The travel expense report is being claimed for expenses that total $293.35. So that gives you some context for reviewing what was approved at the beginning versus what is being claimed and what actually occurred for this particular trip. So a couple things to call out is some icons that you might see here. This one is the receipt icon, so if you hover over it, you will be able to see the thumbnail of the receipt that supports this particular line item. So this is meant to be a receipt example for a flight, right? You can close it there. You can also select the receipts hyperlink here and say view receipts in a new window. It will show you all the receipts that are attached to this particular expense report in one window, so you can scroll through and look at them separately if you'd like. One of the other things to call out is under the details hyperlink menu. If you select report header, this is going to give you some of the basic demographic information about the trip that you might be interested in as you review. So as an approver, I might look at the travel start and end dates because I want to look at them in reference to the expense dates that are being claimed. I might also look at personal dates of travel. I might look at why the trip occurred in the first place and just get some more information about this particular trip. So you can close that here or select cancel. If we go back to the details hyperlink, just want to show you a couple other things that you can look at as you're reviewing. So let's select the totals option. This is going to show you a breakdown of the cost of the expense report. So while the entire expense report is going to be recorded to the department for $293.35, that does not mean that that's the amount that's going to be reimbursed to the employee. So in this particular example, you can see the breakdown that $188.70 was university paid. So this would be the airfare that was booked in Concur and charged directly to the campus that the person was not out of pocket for, is not going to be reimbursed to the employee, but it is a cost related to the trip. And so what's left then is the $104.65 that is going to be reimbursed to the employee for their personal car mileage that they incurred for this particular trip. So the totals of the expense report kind of just shows you how it breaks down so you can get a sense of what that looks like as far as reimbursement goes to the employee. Another thing that you can look at is any comments that might have occurred in this particular flow. So at any point as this moved through the system, approvals, as it was prepared, and any comments that were left, you can look at all of those here to get an idea of any additional notes or points of consideration that individuals before you have left. You have a few different options as an approver. This button, Send Back to User, will send it back to the traveler. You'll want to use this button if something is amiss. So maybe there's an error that needs to be fixed, or something is missing altogether, or what's been presented is not what was agreed upon. You have to insert a comment here that says what you're looking for the person to do. When you click this OK button, it will pull it out of your queue and put it back in the traveler's queue. It will notify them that they have a correction to make. They will go into their Concur profile, make any requested corrections, and then submit it again for approval. You will be able to see this thread of comments once you get the expense report back, so you can see why you sent it back in the first place, and then look at it with a new lens and make sure that whatever was asked beforehand has been resolved at this point. So I'm going to click cancel just so I can show you some of the other options. The approve button means that you're comfortable with the reimbursement or the expenses related to this particular trip for this particular person and purpose. So when you click the approve button, it will route it forward to any other approvers that are already set up in the workflow, or it will send it to the accounts payable queue so we can further process it for reimbursement to the person. The approve and forward button is something you wouldn't commonly use. What this does is it impacts the approval workflow. So if you use this function, approve and forward, it's going to ask you who you want to add as an approver. This person literally has to touch this expense report before it can come into the accounts payable queue for further processing. So if you're just wanting to share this expense report with somebody, this is not the way to do it. This does add another layer of approver to this particular expense report, which may or may not be what you're trying to accomplish. But if it was, for some reason, you felt like you needed somebody else to look at it, you can add them here as an approver, click approve and forward, and now it's out of your queue, approved by you, and it's in the queue for another approver. Although it's probably not necessary at this stage, if you do need to share this expense report with someone else, you can select the print and email option. Select the only option that you'll see here. And in this window that pops up, you'll see a few different options here. You can save it as a PDF, you can email it, you can print it. If you do email this, it will package the entire expense report documentation together, so it'll show all their approval flows, and it will attach images of the receipts as well. So it's a full package related to this expense report that can be shared via email. So that is it for some of the tips when it comes to the approval function and some of the things that you would look out for and some of the functionality that you will see as an approver.